Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to another episode of Julie Laughton's podcast. I'm so happy you've joined me again. And today I want to talk about a really special project that I've been working on for probably, let's say 4 months, but it's been going on for longer than that. But this project was a home built by Abel, who's a famous architect in Laguna in the 60s. A lot of his homes are built in the 60s. They were very, unique and modern, basically. And this one is unique in itself. I mean, it doesn't look like any of the others. Some of them are technically Palm Springs modern, lots of woodwork. So the big thing about Abel is everything's wood. But this one is like a soccer ball. It's a triangle shape, on the front, and it has the shape going back to the street side's traditional, but it's all wood beams holding up all these triangles of glass. So I just love it because the homeowner bought it as also their dream home. One of the homeowners is actually an interior designer. So she's been very helpful, and she drives the dream and the look of the home. But we have totally transformed this house. But before it can be finished, the transformation involves some massive repairs, as in it sits on the side of a hill that goes like this. And then the part that we're repairing is cantilevered out over the hill, so you fall to your death if you would not. So anyway, I have to make temporary shoring, which looks like a building structure itself, like another house. It's like an oil rig built out of wood to stand on to do the repairs. So if anybody drives by, that oil rig I'm building is temporary shoring, and it's part of the repairs to the house. And the repairs will involve a crane, like a full-size crane, to get me some beams, 30-foot beams, slid into the part that's up at the top of the hill, and the men will stand on the shoring platform and pull it in. But the beams they're replacing are 30 feet long, so we're repairing this house so it doesn't fall off the hill, because the people that owned it before probably didn't do enough maintenance, and really the maintenance on this house would have been add some metal to the top of the wood, but paint it more often and caulking. So the dry rot is simply due to age. It was built in the 60s. It's almost 100 years old. So anyway, it's quite spectacular. And I just, I love this house. And it's an piece of artwork. So I see it as a piece of museum quality artwork. So that's what makes it fun and rewarding. And the client is like, oh my God, their dream house. Now it'll last forever when we're done. This home, it's funny because I have Abel's drawings because his son gave them to me. And his son is Greg Abel, and we work together closely, and we know each other very well and for a long time. But this job was particularly challenging. And I don't know if people realize this, but I like extreme engineering, extreme stuff. I mean, I like doing complicated projects. It doesn't scare me. I have a fabulous team of structural engineer, soils engineer, the geotech, the civil engineer. I have a team that supports me. I could build a skyscraper. I mean, I like complicated. So anyway, this project, 7 contractors later, we figured it out, and the house is literally built with 45-degree and different angles, pieces of wood put together like a jigsaw puzzle of pixie sticks of wood. So one pull of one piece of wood affects the other wood, and like I said, the windows are all triangles in the ocean side. It's ridiculously complicated, but yet simple. But the design is brilliant. And you could see the original drawings, all hand drawn in pencil. And there really was no structural engineering back then when he drew them. It's just his drawings and the footings and the framing and a lot of steel brackets. So it's just been fun and a pleasure doing it, because all the engineering calcs out in modern day standards easy because we have the size of the beams. They're the same that we're using, and it all works, funny enough, but it wasn't calculated by the same people we calculate today, like structural engineers and soil. He just did it. So that was what happened in the 60s and 70s. So anyway, it's a massive effort to make sure it is right and done right. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the scenes on the engineering to get this one done. Okay, so this remodel in general is relatively simple if you think about it. We're not changing anything. We're painting it and we're restoring it. We're giving it a new roof. So, hey, what should that cost? Not much, right? But what the repairs are costing are ridiculous in most people's minds, or maybe, you'd be shocked, but the repairs are $250,000. I mean, just to get the scaffolding erected is, 100,000, but the caissons before that, 100,000, and then the framing work that's going to go on. So with the painting, it's going to tip the scales at 350 to 400,000. So, you know, it's not a easy thing to work on a hillside in Laguna Beach or a hillside anywhere. But that's what happens when you try to work on a hillside. So the costs start at $250,000. They could go up to $1 million if you're building a house on the side of a hill, for example. So you got to be ready for that. But yep, the cost is all in the temporary shoring and the repairs. So the cool part about when you remodel or restore something, I'm not changing it. When there's an architect involved or a good design, which is very rare. I love historical when they're good. I'm working on 2 of them now that are actually historical, like deemed historical. And so we can't actually change anything, which is nice. But the good designers, the good architects from back in the day, restoring it to its former glory is making it brand new again. And it's so neat because that almost 100-year-old house is now like it's freshly built. And in this case, all we're doing is darkening the paint color to more of a black, but it was a gray, a dark gray. So that's what we're doing to make it the clients, make it their own. But it's really just bringing it back to its former glory from that it looked like, just like a new car, you know, look at a 1920s Bentley, a 1930s, luxury sports car. They don't wear out if they're maintained, and then you can always restore them. So that's what we're doing, is restoring like a vintage car, a luxury car. So anyway, that's the fun part for me. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Julie Laughton Podcast. And I was so happy to explain the project I'm working on in Alta Vista and Laguna Beach, because boy, it's a showstopper. And don't forget to check out my 7 simple steps for any of your project needs or your family or friends. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.